in any business like this, you've got to make sure you're not drinking too much of your own Kool-Aid. You need a certain amount because that self-belief is just critical. If you don't have that, you might as well go home or go to the beach.
Hi, we're live here at Tech Day with Nigel Lake, the founder of Pottinger Analytics. Thank you for joining us on the show today. Really appreciate it. So before we get going, can you just give us an overview of the company and where the idea came from?
Look, it's great to be here. Thank you. It's a real pleasure. The Pottinger Analytics business really came from having worked in investment banking and consulting for a long time and seeing boards making big decisions and doing that without using much information or hard data, an awful lot of wisdom and experience and self-confidence and not as much objective analysis as you'd think. So about 2 or 3 years ago, we decided we should give a name and form to some work we've been doing for a while, and that's where the Pottinger Analytics business came from.
And so how long has the business been operating? And are you guys based only in the States, or are you guys a global brand?
So we've been running for about 2 to 3 years now in this business. We're based between New York and Sydney, Australia. So it's a long distance commute for me between those 2 locations. And then we've got some people dotted around the world in the UK and Spain and a couple other places as well.
So you've been around for 2.5 years. What is one of your favorite memories thus far in running the business that you can recall?
So look, I'll give you one live example. We did some work a couple of years ago around a very large water utility in Queensland in Australia, helping them figure out what their capital structure should be as they were bringing that business together. And a bit nerdy and not so exciting if you're outside finance, but if you run a business and you go bust, you'll know how important this is. And we used a whole bunch of sophisticated analysis to get under the hood of what were all the risks they faced, not just the average things that would happen, but what were all the outlier events and what would they mean. Anyway, they took that advice, and as you may remember, 6 months later there was then massive floods which went through Brisbane, like once in 100-year floods. The second time this has happened in about 35 years, and the company ended up with $100 million of unscheduled expenditure. It was able to meet those bills without missing a beat, without going back to the shareholders for more money. The shareholders were the councils that were trying to pick up the tab for this massive disaster that had gone through their communities. So seeing something like that, we've had a real impact with the advice you've been able to give, and you've shown how important it is to use data. So it's hugely good moment to look back on that.
We'll flip it on the other side of the coin. What's been a moment that was not particularly good? How did you overcome that?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Anybody that's founded a business will know that there's all sorts of hard times along the way, and I think when you look back on them, they're probably just as much fun as the good times, but at the moment they're awful. I think for me the hardest thing is you go from the absolute peaks of excitement, you have some good news, and we talked about the Atomli business and a very major new customer coming in a couple of weeks ago and wanting to go ahead. Top 5 company in the world. It's a really exciting moment. And then you have the moments where things just go badly and you're cursing yourself. And so you've got these huge peaks and troughs of emotion, and trying to keep yourself not so much on the level, but just to harness the energy that comes from both of those is really important. And those are the dark moments. And the solution is friends you have around you, the mentors, the people that are on your team, even whoever it is, just that they can help you go through the ups and downs. I think that for me is the heart of one of the biggest challenges.
Absolutely. So can you describe what is the culture like at your business? Startups tend to try to be hip and cool and lean and so on and so forth. Just curious, what is your company's culture like?
So look, in the Pottinger business, I think this is reflected in the Atomli business as well. We've brought together a few themes. One is to be very focused on what commercially really matters, to be very down to earth. No jargon. Anyone who uses jargon or acronyms, I'm going to cross them out and send them home. So that's one. I think diversity is another. Having a very broad team from all sorts of different backgrounds, very open mind as to what people are going to contribute is a second. And then I think the third is to have people that are just plain decent. We don't want people that are come in and beat their chest and try to be the big person who's smarter than everyone else. We want everybody to muck in, be on the same level. The Pottinger business has had pretty much 50-50 male-female split through the whole business, not just on average, but in the management layer, in the middle of the business, and in the support staff, pretty much from the beginning. It's been an amazing advantage for us, just amazing.
That's fantastic to hear, to keep that balance and diversity is she can inspire, new ideas and get really creative with a diverse group of people. So that makes a lot of sense. So what are you guys focusing on over the next year, and how do you plan to scale the business?
So we've got two things. I think in terms of growing the Pottinger Analytics business, we are very much focused in the US. We originally started the business in Australia. We've moved to now dual headquarter between New York and Sydney, as I mentioned. So some very interesting opportunities here with big companies that are struggling to make decisions in the face of change. We started something last night, household name business, that is dealing with Internet of Things and the energy revolution, and they're a product manufacturer, and they really don't know where to place their bets. And so we can help bring a level of quantification to those problems. So that kind of thing, very interesting opportunity. Then secondly, through the Atomli business, very focused on the opportunities for our platform in consumer goods, manufacturers, etc. We will amaze them with what we can do. So I'm very excited about that.
Exciting. That is very exciting. So if you were going to give advice to somebody who's starting their own business, what are 3 tips that you would give them in terms of getting it off the ground?
The 3 tips question. Let me have a crack at this. One is just starting. The single hardest thing I think about starting your own business is having the confidence to take the first step and try. And once you've done that, actually things get easier. I think the second thing is there's a lot of talk about, embracing failure and being quick to fail and all the rest of it. Failing itself is not a good thing. No one wants to go out and fail. They want to succeed. Now, if you've got something that doesn't work, give up early. But I think I've got a blank for the 30, but there are 2.
Well, those are 2 really good pieces of advice. So in terms of marketing, obviously the businesses that you're working with are really large businesses, so you're going for that high price point, versus the low value mass market. But do you guys actively do outbound marketing and for the brands, or is it something that's more organic and then people are through word of mouth are coming back to you?
We're being very targeted and focused. And I think for anyone running a business, early stage, particularly B2B enterprise businesses, you've got to focus in on where are your best chances, who are likely to be early adopters, and there's a bunch of different things we're looking at to see who's really likely to do something.
Well, Nigel, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's a pleasure chatting with you. And if people want to learn more about your business, where can they go?
They can visit us at PottingerAnalytics.com, and also the Atomli business, simply atomli.com, ATOMLI.com. We'll be delighted to see them there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.